Who do you think would give you the hardest fight out of anybody on stage?
Right here. Right here, the hardest hitting 145 pound, the real hardest hitting 145er right here. This guy TKOs people. Who the f is that guy? Who the f is that? You know damn well who I am. Who the f is that?
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC betting show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the prediction show for UFC on ESPN 5. Colby Covington versus Robbie Lawler. We're going to talk about two free plays that we have on this card. Over the last three cards, combined with my Wagertalk plays and free plays here, we are 10-2. And also over that span, we've had plus money plays, a plus 130, plus 140, a plus 150, a plus 180. Really having a nice run here and want to keep that going. And that's a big part of this here is you're going to have your hot streaks, you're going to have some cold streaks, but it's always about bankroll management. It's always about continually placing roughly the same amount of money per bet and finding opportunities where you're putting your money in strong positions where a fighter has the advantage and as well as the line is giving the bettor more of a capability and more of the edge over Vegas that sets those lines. So before we do anything else, also if you're new to the channel and you are interested in UFC gambling and looking for advice and a community of people that also are interested in getting an edge and looking to make money, subscribe, give it a like. Always appreciate everybody who does comment as well down below. Always look forward to the conversation. Everybody definitely appreciate all of that. So I guess we'll get into the first play. Now the first play is on the main event, and the main event is between Colby Covington and Robbie Lawler. Now, first looking at this, and I talked about this, even with my, when I was first taking a look at Nico Price versus Jeff Neal last week. You've got things in your mind where you take a look at two fighters, you've got two things in your mind, and it's sometimes there's a recency bias, sometimes there's, recent fights that have happened that are in your mind, or a big knockout or something happens, and it kind of puts you in a different perspective, just the mentality. And although most of you, like myself, have seen every single fight, you know them, but sometimes going back and taking a look at it, there's certain things that you can really pick apart. So for me, even with the Nico Price thing, I first thinking about Nico Price and his power and all these other things, and it just pulled me away from him as soon as you do more and more research. So in this fight here, first we're going to talk about ruthless Robbie Lawler. Now, Robbie Lawler is 28-13. His current price is plus 180. You've got Covington. He is 14-1, and his current price is minus 210. So, talking about Robbie Lawler here, I mean, he is former champion. Everyone knows his power, his strength, and all these great things. So we're going to quickly, like I always do, run through their last three fights and see if there's certain things that we could take away from that. Now, the first fight that we're going to be talking about is Donald Cerrone versus Robbie Lawler. Now, this fight here, close fight, interesting fight. Not going to dive too much into it, but it was a fight. It was really a fight of pure strikers. Strikers from the outside, very competitive fight, and you had Robbie Lawler who did edge out in that fight. But something here, when you're taking a look at it, is this is a fight where you're going to find Robbie Lawler more in his comfort zone. He's going to want a little bit of space. He's going to want to be able to work his big shots, move around the cage, make it dirty when he gets inside, and use his power. That's something here against Cerrone, where Cerrone's looking to use some of his kickboxing. Yes, Cerrone's good everywhere, but utilize his kickboxing, use a little bit more of his reach, and utilize some space. So in this fight here, Robbie Lawler does get this victory, but the part of it that when I was breaking it down and looking at it is, it's a totally different fight that he's going to be facing against Covington. Obviously, you've got Covington who likes the pressure. So it was a little bit there when you're taking a look at that fight. The next fight, he did lose. He fought against Rafael Dos Anjos and RDA. This was a very interesting fight also, and this is one I had to rewatch. I do remember it very clearly, but I had to rewatch it. And this is a fight, when you take a look at the scorecards, you take a look at what happened in that fight, it was a landslide, lopsided victory for RDA. RDA went out there and really entered into this bout with a game plan of, I'm going to use leg kicks. I'm going to go in there, and everybody knows that's his thing. But it was almost that Robbie Lawler really wasn't able to defend. He wasn't checking them as much, and really RDA stuck to that and was able to have Lawler kind of slow down. It kept his movement slow. He kept the pressure on, and that was something that RDA did pretty much throughout that fight. But you saw throughout it slowly that Lawler was slowing down. He was losing his power, losing his movement. And that, to me, is something that definitely can go into this fight, talking about Covington, that Covington could possibly try to use some strategy such as that, because it works so effectively against Lawler that it's something maybe he could do. But RDA went out there. It was every judge had a 50-45. It was lopsided. I believe that Robbie Lawler tore an ACL. There was a lot of damage to his leg. So something there in that fight. You could take a look at it. Again, RDA not looking to really take it to the ground and not looking to make it that kind of fight where Covington could be or will be. But it was interesting to see that how effective those leg kicks were. And then most recently, the crazy fight between Lawler and Ben Askren. Now, this fight here was one where people were kind of all over the board, where it came to, you think Lawler's going to go out there and just smash him really quickly, and some people thought, no way that Lawler's going to be able to do that. Askren's going to be able to take him down very easily. And, don't have to dive into this one because it was very quickly, but it was a quick exchange, a head smash. I should say that it was basically a body slam on Askren's head. Looked like that he was out there, and I still believe that he was out. And with the extra punches, it almost kind of brought him back to. And somehow, and it does show a little bit of, ability for Askren to come back from such a brutal beating in that first minute of the fight. And was able to go out there, very questionable stoppage with the bulldog choke, and we don't have to get into all that stuff. So it's that fight there, not as much to take away from. It does show the strength of Robbie Lawler, and it does show, in spots, it did show a little bit that he does have, and everybody knows, his takedown defense as well. Now we're going to go over to Colby Covington. Now, Covington, his last 3 fights, he fought Kim, and when he fought Kim, this was a complete obliteration. It was lopsided. He smothered him. It was 30-25, 30-26, and 30-27. I mean, Covington pretty much smothered him the whole fight, did what he does, implemented his game plan. Not much to talk about there, but it shows how he can really nullify an opponent who does have striking, who does have the credentials to strike, but yet can utilize his wrestling to move forward and to keep that pressure on. Now, the fight that I thought was a very interesting fight as well. There's a lot of them that are very interesting, and then we're going to piece this together at the end. Is when after that fight he called out Demian Maia. Now, this was something where Demian Maia, world-class jiu-jitsu. This was going to be wrestling versus jiu-jitsu. Maia, is someone who you don't want to be grappling with, and you don't want to be getting in some kind of exchange with him. And this is where obviously Covington is going to have to be in those exchanges. But this fight here was where early in that first round you saw Maia, and this was something that, although Lawler, I don't believe, and everybody has seen where Lawler pretty much lets everything brush off his shoulders. He doesn't really care about anything. Askren was saying stuff. Even Covington has said stuff. Other people in the past have said stuff to Lawler, and he really doesn't care. He just wants to smash your face in. I mean, that's pretty much all he wants to do. But in this situation, it did work where Covington was talking trash, got in his head a little bit, and here, right away, Maia was looking to strike. Maia was completely out of his game plan in that first round, and I think that really tired him. You saw him move forward. He did land some nice shots on Covington, but I think Covington was so thrown off by that strategy that he was not prepared for it. He's thinking maybe a little bit of striking, and let's get into a grapple. Let's get into bringing this to the ground. And right away, Maia was just looking to throw big shots. I think that really hurt him in that fight because I think it gassed him. And you've seen Maia, and I bet Maia in a couple spots and was able to get some victories with him, but you see that his gas tank is not where it used to be. And slowly after that first round and second round and third, it slowly starts to diminish. You see the takedowns are very sloppy. And in this fight here, you did see over the 3 rounds, it was 30-27, 30-26, 29-27. It was a sweeping victory for Covington to be able to go out there and beat Maia at his own game in a grappling exchange. I thought was very interesting to see how strong he was against the elite jiu-jitsu. And then most recently, he fought RDA, and this was a competitive fight. And now you take a look, when you take a look at these two guys, they both fought, and this is that MMA math. People say, this guy fought this guy, guy fought this guy, this means this guy's going to win, or whatever it be. I don't fully believe in that. I think that helps part of your handicapping, but that's obviously not end-all, be-all. But in this fight here, very competitive fight. And you saw that Covington was able to take him down, able to keep that pressure on, able to keep moving forward. And a little bit, he had a little bit, Covington, which he is, he's a cocky guy. I think that hurt him a little bit in spots where he was kind of taunting a little bit and wanted to, make it look like it wasn't this tough for him. And that's something where if he does that against Lawler, Lawler's going to knock him out. In those first few rounds, if he's going to be doing that kind of stuff, he needs to be on point and ready. But in the end, RDA got the loss. Covington gets the victory. Good fight, competitive fight, but it definitely went to Covington overall. Now, when you take a look at all that, and with all that being said, I like to kind of just run through them really quickly. And again, we're not spitting out a bunch of stats and statistics. This is, let's piece this together and who's going to win and is the line in the right spot and we're going to make some money. So in this fight here, with Covington versus Lawler. Now, the first thing that I really, really like about Covington is obviously the wrestling. You can put that aside because everybody knows that. But the training camp he comes from. I really like him coming from American Top Team. I think that is very, very good just for his skill set, the guys that he's around, and all these other things. Now, a part of that really pushes me more towards Covington is the fact that Lawler came from that camp, and Lawler is no longer with that camp. So that brings a little bit of extra something to this. Now, it's not that there's secrets and they know how to beat Robbie Lawler and this is how you beat him and we've trained with him. But there's got to be, in some aspect, they know his weakness. There just has to be that. If you've been training with the team for so long, you know his weaknesses, you know his strengths. Obviously, I wouldn't say there's a massive amount of weaknesses on Robbie Lawler or any fighter that's went to a camp and left, but there's always going to be some tips and some, hey, you know what, this may work because we've seen him in camp and this may work. And I think that's a big, big part of this, that there is going to have to be that conversation with the coaches, how he can beat him. Again, can he implement that plan? Robbie Lawler has some of the best takedown defense, in the UFC. His sprawls are ridiculous. The way he's able to just really defend those takedowns overall, but the pressure that he's able to put is another big thing. So yes, Lawler has the opportunity to stuff these takedowns. Yes, he's got the opportunity to go out there and stuff a takedown and land a big shot. But over 5 rounds, I think that's very, very tough for him. But it's also that it doesn't mean that Covington needs to get the takedown. He just needs him to work. He needs Robbie Lawler to work, push forward, work, get him to work, get him up against the cage, tire him out so he depletes his energy. And somebody like Covington, which I think stylistically when you look at, he kind of has that, striking-wise, he kind of has that Diaz style, where he doesn't go out there and look to throw the big bomb. He doesn't look to go out there and throw punches at 90%, 100%. He doesn't really look to do that. He kind of just keeps the volume up, keeps the pressure up, and throws punches at, a medium or a little above, or, a 65, 70%, where he's not depleting himself, but he's landing enough to touch you, hit you in the face, hit you in the legs, use his kicks. All of his strikes are pretty much that Diaz style, where it's just an abundance of volume, and it's tough for you to really stay away from that pressure. So that's going to be something I think is very important, and I touched on a little bit also before. I think that the leg kick is going to be something you're going to see Covington use. I think that's going to be a great spot where if they are separated, obviously you're going to have, if Covington cannot at all get Lawler down, Lawler's going to have a massive advantage. But I believe that even if they're separated, a couple leg kicks, I think that's all really going to make the difference here. And I think if you really piece this together, you've got Covington at about a 2-1 favorite here. I like the price. I don't think it's a bad price. I think that a little bit where people have, Covington has been out for a while. people kind of forget how really good he is and that he was the interim champion and then whatever else happened behind the scenes. So you've got Lawler here where, he looked great. He's had some nice fights, some nice wins. Even against Askren, he lost, but a lot of people just remember that head slam and they're thinking that that's exactly what's going to be happening. Also, excuse me, a big part of this also is that the public, I believe, I already have a bet already on Covington. But I'm looking to fire a second bullet on this because I believe that the line will improve. Now, I think that the public is going to be betting Lawler purely on the fact that everybody hates Covington. So it's going to push the line. I think this line can get under minus 200. I think it can, which is going to force me to put another bet in at that price. At 2-1, I still like it. Anything under there, I really like it. I think Covington goes out there, gets the job done. I think a decision victory here, 5 rounds, tires Lawler out. I am betting as my free play, Colby Covington to defeat Robbie Lawler. And I'm actually going to this event. Maybe I should have said that. I'll actually be there. So I'm excited to see this main event. Will be a fun one to watch. Now, second one we will talk about, and I will quickly go over this one to talk a little bit longer on that last one than I wanted to, is the other free play is Jim Miller versus Clay Guida. Now, look at these two guys. It's the co-main event of the evening. These two, been in the UFC, very long time, never been champions, journeymen, but always, been to the top level, ranked, fought some really tough fighters. Both of these guys have really fought the who's who of this division. I mean, win or lose, they have faced them. I mean, looking back, it's pretty damn impressive who these guys have fought and the fact that they're still fighting. They're still there. They're still in the mix. And you've got Jim Miller, who is a minus 184. You've got Clay Guida, who is plus 150. Now, I'm not going to dive through all of their, their last few fights or how that happened or what happened and all these other things here because I'm not picking a side here. And what I'm looking to do here is a prop bet. And we talked about this in the last one, and it's stuff that I'm really starting to look a little bit more into. I never really dove fully into props. I kind of looked at them as more of somewhere I'd sprinkle a little bit of money on. And I've slowly but surely been really focusing on that and really finding a nice spot, making some profit, and looking where, I maybe should be focusing but a little bit more, placing a little bit more exposure on those prop bets. So not looking to do, some people do props, they'll do 7 or 8 of them. I'm looking to do one prop bet and bet 1 or 2 other fights, and those are my plays for an event. But overall, looking at this, the first thing is both these guys are well-rounded. They're veterans. They're intelligent fighters. They've got high fight IQ. And being the vet, and these guys have a lot of respect for each other, I think really starts to piece some of this together. Now, I looked at, some of their past fights and how they won, how they lost. And to me here, going the distance is a minus 115. I really believe that this is a fight that is going to go 3 rounds. Now, both of them have, they're well-rounded, but they've got great cardio. And I see this more as a fight where 2 guys are going to go in there and they're going to be a chess match. I see it more as a chess match than anything else. And that's kind of the way that I really looked at even the Holloway-Edgar fight where it was a plus 180 going the distance. And it was the same kind of feeling where I just feel like it's going to be respect and it's also going to be a chess match and no one's going for broke. People are going to, I feel like both of these fighters are going to be calculated. They're not going to be aggressive where they're going to leave themselves open to be hit or able to be hurt. Obviously, you can only do that for so long, but I believe that they're going to be very, very careful and very calculated with their moves, and it's going to allow this to go the distance. So for me here, quickly I will go over that one. For me here, as my second free play, I am taking the fight will go the distance between Jim Miller and Clay Guida. That is minus 115. That is the current line right now. I like it. I think it's a great spot. So those are my 2 free plays. We have Colby Covington to defeat Robbie Lawler, minus 210. And then we've got the co-main event between Jim Miller and Clay Guida. We've got will the fight go the distance? I do believe it will go the distance, minus 115. Those are my 2 free plays. And again, follow me on Twitter at Kyle Anthony UFC. When I do not have videos here, I post my picks up there. Again, I post I basically am betting 3 to 4 plays each card. I always post them up there. Also have options on Wagertalk as well. So definitely appreciate everybody. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoy this content, and as well as subscribe if you've not yet done so. We do these every Thursday. We drop videos at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, and then on Sunday is our bet review show, sometimes Monday depending on time, but Sunday or Monday we do the bet review show. So there you have it. This is Kyle Anthony's UFC betting show, and I will see you at the bet review on Sunday.